Dusk lowers itself over the floodplain like a damp curtain, pulling the light down into the river's slow coils. It is the hour when colors mute and silhouettes sharpen, when prey animals gamble on a final drink before committing to the long, anxious night. A capybara steps from the thicket with that familiar mixture of caution and resignation, ears flicking independently, hooves sinking into the mud with a soft suction that barely disturbs the quiet. A peccary herd moves parallel along the bank, their snouts testing the humid air, but they avoid the shallows. They know this edge too well. The capybara does not. It wanders toward the waterline where the lagoon bends into a stagnant crescent, a place that looks like nothing more than brown water and drowned leaves floating in a loose mosaic. But the camera is already positioned below the surface, and from this angle, the river reveals its real structure. What looked like drowned leaves becomes a camouflage net of suspended debris, and beneath it, almost indistinguishable from a drifted log, a green anaconda lies coiled with the detachment of a creature that has mastered stillness for tens of millions of years. This is not patience, this is strategy. The snake has arranged itself precisely where the slope of the bank funnels drinking mammals into a predictable angle, where their legs must step deep enough for buoyancy to betray them. The coils overlap like sections of wet armor, each one capable of acting independently, yet feeding strength into the next. There is no tension yet. True ambush predators invest nothing until the last possible moment. They are the accountants of violence, spending only when the odds promise profit. From this underwater perspective, the capybara appears as a distorted silhouette, its muzzle touching the surface, its rhythmic lapping sending concentric ripples outward. Those ripples travel through the water column, and the anaconda receives them through the sides of its body long before its eyes or tongue would detect anything. Snakes are not deaf. They hear with their bones, reading vibrations through their ribs. The capybara's heartbeat is still faint at this distance, but the breathing patterns are there. Slow, steady, regular. A calm animal, a vulnerable one. When the strike happens, it is not a bite meant to deliver venom or tear flesh. It is an anchor point. The anaconda surges upward with a torque that seems impossible for something so heavy. The jaws snap onto the capybara's shoulder in the same motion that the coils erupt from the water like living ropes. Gravity becomes a weapon. The snake uses its own mass to drag the animal sideways and down, where footing fails and panic starts to bloom. The capybara squeals, but already its chest is half submerged and water is rushing into the fur as buoyancy exchanges places with leverage. Constriction is often misunderstood. People imagine bones shattering, ribs snapping, organs bursting. It's theatrically satisfying, but biologically wrong. Anacondas kill through suffocation and circulatory collapse, a brutally efficient method that targets the victim's ability to inhale. When the coils cinch, they do not need to crush. They need only prevent the thoracic cavity from expanding. Each breath becomes shallower. Each exhale triggers a tightening response because the snake is not deciding to squeeze harder. It is following a feedback loop wired into its musculature. As the prey exhales, the snake senses the drop in pressure and responds by contracting incrementally, never allowing the next inhale to reach full volume. This tightening is not random. Research on constrictor mechanics shows that snakes can detect a mammal's heartbeat through direct contact, adjusting coil pressure with surprising precision. When the heartbeat accelerates, the coils stabilize. When the heartbeat weakens, the coils pulse tighter, compensating for the dropping blood pressure. It is almost clinical. The snake is not attacking a body, it is solving a physiological problem. A large capybara may lose consciousness in less than 2 minutes, long before bones even begin to experience structural stress. What kills is the quiet, the slow starvation of oxygen, the desperate inability to fill the lungs, the sense that the world is narrowing to a tunnel with water at one end and darkness at the other. The capybara's final struggle sends a plume of silt into the water column, clouding the scene with the detritus of the riverbed. From the bank, it might look like nothing more than a brief commotion, a muddy boil, maybe an alligator snapping at a fish. In reality, the anaconda has already begun the second phase, anchoring its coils to the substrate so it can leverage its mass against the prey's buoyancy. Drowning is not a necessity. Many kills happen entirely on land, but the water simplifies everything. A panicked mammal wastes oxygen faster, thrashes inefficiently, and loses orientation. The stillness that eventually settles is not calm. It is the end of negotiation. The documentary shifts perspective here, rising above the water to frame the larger ecological theater. This lagoon is a junction point between upland forest and seasonally flooded Várzea. It is a meeting zone for species that normally occupy different layers of the environment. Terrestrial rodents, arboreal primates descending to drink, wading birds probing for fish, and reptiles patrolling the margins. Predators exploit these intersections because they concentrate prey, and few predators are better suited to them than anacondas. As the floodwaters rise and fall across the year, these snakes migrate subtly through channels, oxbows, and minor tributaries, following the seasonal patterns of pre-availability. They do not roam aimlessly. Their movements track thermal pockets, fish migrations, and the behavior of mammals that rely on predictable shoreline access. When night falls completely, the temperature gradient between water and forest air becomes more pronounced. Anacondas, being ectothermic, rely on the thermal inertia of large bodies of water to stabilize their metabolism. A kill near dusk is strategically perfect. Digestion demands warmth, and the evening water retains heat far longer than the cooling forest. The snake has already maneuvered the capybara's limp body into deeper water, beginning the laborious process of orienting the head first. The jaws will unhinge slightly, not in the way urban legend suggests, but through an extraordinary ligament system that allows each side of the jaw to move independently, walking the prey inward. Flexible ribs and expandable skin complete the engineering feat. But before this feeding begins, the documentary inserts a contrasting sequence, an anaconda taking a caiman. The footage is grainier, older, likely from a handheld camera on a riverboat. A juvenile caiman sits near a mudflat, unaware of the approaching shadow beneath the surface. The strike is explosive, but the struggle is sharper, more violent. Reptilian prey do not suffocate in the same manner as mammals. Their oxygen demands are lower, their rib cages rigid. The constriction still functions, but the kill takes longer, relying on circulatory disruption rather than simple respiratory collapse. When the snake drags the caiman underwater, the equation shifts. Caimans can hold their breath, but prolonged submersion combined with restricted chest movement eventually overwhelms even them. This dual kill method, suffocation on land, drowning in water, makes the anaconda uniquely versatile among large constrictors. Back at the lagoon, the camera returns to the present kill. The capybara's outline is already disappearing into the snake's first coils of ingestion. Digestion will take days, during which the snake becomes almost inert, banking on its camouflage and mass to protect it from jaguars and opportunistic scavengers. But this event is not an anomaly. It is a recurrent pulse in the food web. Every kill feeds countless organisms indirectly. The nutrients that remain post-digestion enrich the water. The fear it instills in prey animals alters their movement patterns, influencing vegetation impact and seed dispersal. Even the disturbance created by the struggle reshapes microhabitats in the mud, affecting invertebrate distribution. The chapter closes by returning to the sensory experience of the victim, a perspective rarely examined in depth. You do not bleed to death under an anaconda. You do not die in a cinematic flurry of strikes. You run out of air while something cold and methodical tightens its loops with mathematical patience. The jungle around you keeps moving, cicadas droning, nightjars calling, water sliding past as if nothing extraordinary is happening. Evolution built this predator not for drama, but for certainty. Every breath you release becomes one you will never take again, and the snake counts them with perfect accuracy. It is not violence that defines the anaconda's kill, it is inevitability. The morning river looks harmless in the way only well-designed traps can. Brown water sitting heavy and unmoving, surface tension stretched tight as a drum. Mist drifts low over the channel, blurring the boundary between forest and water, masking the truth that the mud beneath the shallows is layered with silt, rotting leaves, and the cold geometry of a predator's skull. Nothing breaks the quiet except the occasional drip of condensation falling from an overhanging branch. A heron stands knee-deep at the margin, waiting for small fish to wander near. A capybara family grazes on the bank behind it, their confidence rising with the light. And in the canopy above, a squirrel monkey works along a horizontal branch, testing young leaves, tossing aside insects too small to bother with. From any distance, the river looks dead. From a meter away, it looks the same. That is the point. A caiman needs stillness the way other predators need camouflage. Stillness erases intent. Stillness invites carelessness. The camera slips beneath the surface and reveals the architecture hidden below. A caiman lying inches under the meniscus, its body motionless, limbs tucked tight, only the nostrils close enough to the air to extend through a thin slit of space. Those nostrils are built like valves, open when the head is above water, sealed shut the instant the animal submerges. Even at rest, there's a kind of pressure in the jaws, a potential energy stored behind their hinge, as though the skull itself is waiting for an excuse to close. The monkey makes the mistake first. It swings down toward a vine that dangles lower than usual after last night's rain. The vine bends, lowers further, and delivers the monkey within striking distance of the river margin. It isn't drinking. It isn't even on the ground. But the caiman isn't hunting a species, it's hunting physics. Anything that enters this narrow cone of reach becomes a body that can be pulled off balance. That is the core logic of a river ambush, denying foothold. The strike happens in a single, muscle-synchronized explosion. Water erupts upward as if detonated from below, throwing a column of spray that breaks the illusion of calm. The caiman's jaws close around the monkey's lower body, not to slice, but to hold, because slicing has never been the reptile's strategy. Their teeth are conical and interlocking, perfect for maintaining grip on struggling prey, a biological equivalent of grappling hooks aligned in rows. Slicing is for cats. Caimans outsource the fatal work to the river. The monkey screams, twisting upward, claws scrabbling at the branch it just left. For a heartbeat, it hangs between two worlds, the forest that raised it and the water that now claims it. But its grip slips, and in that moment, gravity joins the ambush. The caiman uses the monkey's own weight to pull it deeper, pivoting its entire body downward with an efficiency earned through millions of years of practice. The forest noise erupts, birds flushing, monkeys sounding alarms, capybaras bolting for higher ground, but the water swallows most of it within seconds. Underwater, the kill sequence is not elegant. It is fast, chaotic, and physics-driven. The monkey thrashes violently, stirring sediment into a brown cloud that blinds both camera and predator. But blindness doesn't matter. Caimans do not rely on vision here. They rely on their pressure-sensing organs, small pits along the jaws that detect vibration patterns in the water. Every kick, every gasp, every high-frequency tremor becomes a beeline pointing toward the life that is trying to escape. The caiman clamps harder, not to kill instantly, but to secure. The moment the prey's body is under full water, a fatal clock begins ticking. Contrary to what popular imagination insists, caimans do not kill by ripping prey apart with a single crunch. They suffocate victims using the weight and resistance of the river itself. Once the monkey is underwater, the caiman begins a maneuver refined across crocodilian species, the drag and drown. Instead of biting repeatedly, it pulls the prey into deeper water where buoyancy dissipates resistance. A monkey or bird cannot orient itself underwater. It spirals, gasps reflexively, and the first inhalation draws mud and water straight into its throat. Death becomes a combination of hypoxia and fluid filling the lungs. Bleeding barely enters the equation. The famous death roll is not some theatrical flourish. It's a disorienting rotary movement that destabilizes prey, dislocating limbs, fracturing small bones, and preventing any coordinated defense. But even here, the goal isn't bone-shattering carnage. The roll forces water into airways, accelerates panic, and weakens all leverage the prey might have. Bones can break, yes, but bone damage has never been the kill shot. The kill shot is oxygen loss delivered by water pressure and respiratory failure. As the monkey's movements weaken, the caiman shifts to a holding phase, pinning the carcass against submerged roots until all resistance stops. Only then do the jaws unclamp. Feeding will come later. For now, the predator simply allows the river to return to its original camouflage, silent, still, deceptively gentle. The camera transitions to a wider ecological view. This river is part of a braided floodplain network, a gigantic seasonal machine that expands during wet periods and shrinks during drought. Caimans move through this system with a precision that belies their seemingly primitive design. During the wet season, they enter deeper channels and oxbow lakes, feeding on fish and aquatic animals. As waters recede, prey species funnel into shrinking pools, and that compression intensifies ambush opportunities. Caimans exploit this by positioning themselves at critical river choke points, where animals must enter the water to migrate, drink, or escape overheating. Predation here is not random, it is geography weaponized. Every species has a relationship with these reptiles. Capybaras approach banks at sharp angles so they can sprint backward if surprised. Wading birds choose perches rather than ground-level hunting spots in the hours when caimans are warm and reactive. Turtles bask on logs not just for thermoregulation, but to avoid entering water at risky moments. Even jaguars, apex hunters in their own right, approach Cayman-rich waters carefully and only attack juveniles unless desperation or advantage tilts the risk. The ecosystem is shaped by this silent negotiation, the knowledge that any contact with the water's edge is a contract signed under duress. Humans are no exception. Over the decades, countless stories circulate among river communities of people dragged from canoes or swept off flooded paths. Many are exaggerated, but some are painfully true. Fishermen standing waist-deep to pull nets often misjudge how close a caiman has drifted. When the reptile lunges, it rarely aims for a lethal position. Anything it can seize becomes leverage to topple the human. Once the victim falls, the river becomes the second predator. A leg caught in a caiman's jaws is enough. The animal twists, water surges over the head, and panic forces an involuntary gasp. In turbid water filled with suspended sediment, that single gasp can begin drowning immediately. Even if the caiman does not intend to finish the kill, the river often does. These incidents illustrate a brutal truth. You are not fighting a predator alone. You are fighting viscosity, drag, buoyancy loss, disorientation, and a medium that punishes every mistake. A human's instinct is to thrash upward, but thrashing broadcasts panic through pressure waves that the caiman uses like a radar beacon. Meanwhile, the chest compresses under the weight of the water column, and every attempt to inhale becomes another mouthful of brown fluid. The river doesn't just assist the predator, it amplifies it. The documentary returns to the waterline at dusk, reversing the perspective from the earlier scene. A capybara herd approaches cautiously, led by a dominant female who remembers last season's losses. She inches toward the bank, nostrils flaring, scanning the smooth surface for any break, bubble, or wake. But a skilled caiman leaves none. Its camouflage is structural, eyes and nostrils aligned on the same horizontal plane, allowing the rest of the skull to remain fully submerged. The animal's profile from above is almost abstract, a pair of bumps no larger than floating debris. The capybara drinks anyway. Hunger and thirst always override fear eventually. The caiman does not strike this time. It has already fed. But the silent standoff reveals the deeper structure of the ecosystem, an arms race fought through behavior rather than anatomy. Prey are vigilant because caimans exist. Caimans conserve energy because prey are vigilant. The river mediates the entire negotiation, shaping patterns of movement, foraging, breeding, and migration. Night deepens, and mosquitoes begin a high-pitched chorus above the shallows. Bats skim the surface for insects. In the distance, a juvenile black caiman bellows, low, resonant, almost prehistoric. Sound carries across flat water, announcing territorial claims that ripple through the floodplain like the toll of a warning bell. The chapter ends back beneath the surface, where the lighting dips into complete darkness, and only the faint glint of a reptilian eye hints at motion. There is no rush, no urgency. A caiman's hunt is measured in stillness. When the jaws finally close, they do not promise a quick death. They promise water filling your throat before blood even has a chance to reach the river. In the Amazon, drowning is not an accident. It is a method. The side channel is quiet in the way abandoned rooms feel quiet. Soundless, stalled, as if time thickens the moment it passes through. Overhanging branches bend low across the water, their leaves touching the surface with a soft tapping that repeats in slow, uneven rhythm. It is a cul-de-sac of the river, a place the main current forgot, where driftwood collects, where dying animals wash up, where the last breaths of the forest sometimes collapse unseen. At first glance, nothing moves beneath the surface. But in water, this still, the illusion of calm, is the most dangerous part. A carcass enters the scene the way shadows do, gradually and without ceremony. It is a peccary, already limp, floating sideways with one hind leg caught in submerged roots. Whether it drowned crossing a deep channel or was dragged under by a reptile no longer matters. What matters is what this position communicates to the river. Immobility, vulnerability, the thick scent of blood dissolving into silt-laden water. The moment breath is gone and motion becomes irregular, the carcass turns into an announcement, a broadcast that ripples through the ecosystem. The camera shifts closer, gliding beneath the brown surface into a world that looks like diluted tea. Visibility is only a few meters, but already silver flashes appear in the haze, small shapes, sharp, angular, and quick. They do not arrive in a horde. They come in single scouts first. A lone red-bellied piranha darts in, circles once, then twice, its body quivering with tiny adjustments of its anal and dorsal fins. It tastes the water the way a snake tastes air, using chemoreception so fine it can detect microscopic changes in dissolved organic compounds. Blood, sweat, urine, stress hormones. Piranhas read them like sentences. Contrary to popular myth, piranhas do not frenzy at every scent of blood. They pass context. A healthy animal passing through the shallows, kicking silt, directing pressure waves with symmetrical motion. That does not trigger feeding. A caiman dragging a struggling victim underwater, the vibrations chaotic, uneven, full of panic signatures. That draws attention, but not immediate attack. Only when motion becomes asymmetrical, weak, or fully absent does the school converge. Piranhas feed where prey is already losing the fight with oxygen. The scouts close in. They aim not for the exposed surface of the carcass, but for the points where tissue softens, around the eyes, lips, joint folds, and anal opening. These are entry points for opportunists. The first bite is small, almost surgical, a quick forward lunge, lower jaw locking, upper jaw snapping down with shearing force. The teeth are triangular and interlocking, designed not just to cut, but to remove sections of flesh like a scoop. The bite removes a piece the size of a fingernail. The second bite follows, then a third. With each bite, more chemical cues enter the water. More vibrations, more signals of immobility. Within minutes, the side channel shifts from empty to crowded. A thick school materializes, each fish aligning its body in the flow around the carcass, creating a vortex of movement. The water turns cloudy as flesh, river mud, and decayed plant fragments mix into a reddish-brown cloud. The camera hovers close enough to show muscle layers peeling back, ribs becoming visible as piranhas target softer regions first. Their feeding pattern is not random. They avoid the tougher hide initially, focusing on the abdomen, the face, and the thin tissues around the throat. They are efficiency incarnate. A healthy peccary with full breath and strong reflexes could kick violently and scatter the school within seconds. But a drowning or pinned animal has no leverage. Once breath and movement fail, the defensive range collapses from meters to centimeters. Movement is what keeps most Amazonian creatures alive. Motion creates currents that confuse predators, silt clouds that hide escape routes, sound patterns that signal strength. But once that movement becomes uncoordinated, piranhas interpret it as permission. The documentary shifts to the sensory biology driving this frenzy. Piranhas rely heavily on their lateral line, a sensory organ running along their flanks that detects pressure waves. Struggling limbs send low-frequency bursts that the fish interpret as vulnerability. The smell of blood travels on a different timeline. It spreads slower than vibration, but it confirms what the lateral line has predicted. Even more important is the signal of carbon dioxide in the water. As an animal nears suffocation, CO2 levels around its body spike. Piranhas can detect those changes, and they often accelerate feeding when that shift occurs. It is not malice or mythic aggression, it is physiology reading physiology. As feeding intensifies, chunks of flesh vanish rapidly, exposing the rib cage. The abstraction of the red cloud becomes clearer. It is a mixture of dissolved blood, pulverized tissue, and disturbed sediment. The school thickens until the water seems to boil. Each fish only removes tiny portions, but collectively they create exponential damage. A medium-sized school, 50 to 100 individuals, can strip soft tissue from a carcass in under 15 minutes under ideal conditions. Not every kill reaches that speed, but when the water is shallow, warm, and low in oxygen, piranhas become especially active. The scene transitions to a living animal caught in similar danger, a capybara trapped in a reed pocket, one hind leg wedged between branches that fell in a storm weeks earlier. The animal is alive, breathing, eyes wide with panic, but unable to free itself. It is here that the myth and the reality diverge sharply. Piranhas do not target healthy capybaras crossing rivers. They target individuals stuck, wounded, or forced into stillness. The first scouts appear within minutes, reading the distressed, splashing, and asymmetrical vibrations. The capybara kicks, drives the first few attackers back, and for a moment seems to hold them off. But fatigue is the real predator here. With each attempt to break free, the capybara's breath shortens, chest compressing harder against the trapped leg. Panic accelerates metabolic rate. Lactic acid builds, movements slow. And as oxygen debt begins to settle into the muscles, the vibration signature around the animal changes. The lateral line of every piranha in the radius interprets the shift. Resistance is collapsing. When the school finally commits, they do so from multiple angles. They target the hindquarters first, then the flanks, taking advantage of the areas the capybara cannot defend. A few brave individuals dart for the snout and eyes, high-value regions that signal immediate vulnerability. The water tightens around the animal like a noose made of silver bodies. Eventually, as blood spreads, the capybara's breathing becomes ragged. Its reflexes stutter, its kicks slow from desperate to symbolic. The message is sent. The school converges fully. The documentary widens its focus again, linking this behavior to broader river ecology. Piranhas are not villains, they are sanitation. They recycle nutrients trapped in large carcasses and return them to the ecosystem in hours rather than days. Their feeding prevents contamination of stagnant channels. Their presence shapes migration routes for herbivores, influencing how far from the forest interior animals dare to travel during the dry season. They even influence predator behavior. Jaguars drag kills far from water, specifically to avoid piranhas stripping prey while the cat rests. Humans enter this story reluctantly. Most Amazonian tribes know that piranhas are far more dangerous when blood, panic, and entrapment intersect. They tell stories of boys who jumped from canoes onto submerged snags and cut their legs. The blood brought in piranhas before adults could reach them. Fishermen with hooks embedded in their hands sometimes bleed into the water while struggling to cut line free. If they panic and slip, the sudden splash patterns draw piranhas rapidly. The danger is not the bite count, it is the timing. When a human falls into shallow water while injured, thrashing and gulping air, the sensory cues align perfectly with piranha targeting patterns. The film closes by returning to the carcass in the side channel. The school has thinned. Bones are exposed. What was once an animal with lungs, ribs, liver, and muscle is now architecture. The water clears gradually, revealing the skeleton suspended like a ghostly outline in the brown haze. The final fish drift away one by one, blending back into the river system. In the Amazon, piranhas are not executioners. They are opportunists that specialize in bodies already losing the war with oxygen. Motion saves you. Breath protects you. But the moment blood clouds the water and your lungs fight for air, the river shifts, and piranhas turn stillness into a feeding machine. The forest floor at midday is a mosaic of broken sunlight, thin beams piercing the canopy, staining the leaf litter with gold, green, and sudden, abrupt splashes of shadow. It is an environment built for disappearing. Most creatures here lean into browns, olives, and mottled greys, mimicking dead leaves, bark, or soil. And then something moves that looks like it shouldn't exist at all. A small ribbon of red, yellow, and black, sliding with improbable confidence across a landscape designed for camouflage. The coral snake does not hide. It advertises. From above, the snake looks like a toy misplaced in the wrong biome. Too bright, too exact. Each band painted with crisp precision. But the camera lowers, pulling level with the forest floor. Up close, the coral snake loses none of its surreal quality. Its scales catch the light with an enamel sheen. Its body is slender, lightweight, almost delicate. Compared to large vipers like bushmasters or fer-de-lances, creatures that radiate mass and menace, the coral snake appears fragile. But fragility is a disguise. Power here is chemical, not physical. The snake moves with graceful certainty, weaving through dry leaves without disturbing them, its body guided primarily by scent and minute vibrations that pulse through the soil. Unlike heavy-bodied pit vipers that rely on ambush and thermal targeting, coral snakes roam. They search for narrow spaces, tunnels carved by rodents, soil cracks, and burrows used by fossorial lizards. Their diet depends on stealth and precision. Small snakes, skinks, worm lizards, amphibians. They are specialists, and specialists rarely compromise. The coral snake doesn't need size or intimidation when every drop of its venom acts directly on the body's electrical system. The documentary cuts to a close-up as the snake threads beneath a fallen palm frond. A band of yellow catches a shaft of sunlight, glowing almost white for a moment. Brightness here is not decoration, but code, a universal warning etched into evolution. These colors mean danger. Yet not all who wear this pattern deserve the reputation. The Amazon hosts mimic species, non-venomous snakes with similar banding that parasitize the coral snake's reputation. Their survival depends on predators making crucial mistakes, overestimating threat, giving up the attack, retreating. But mimicry cuts both ways. Humans often look at a small red and yellow snake and assume mimic first, venom later. That assumption is written into countless bite reports that begin with a simple, tragic misidentification. The film returns to the coral snake, now half hidden beneath leaf litter. It pauses, tongue flicking rapidly. Something moves nearby, an amphisbaenian, a worm lizard pushing blindly through soft soil. The coral snake angles its head toward the disturbance, positioning its body like a spring. Its strike is not the explosive, bone-jarring impact of a viper. It is more of a fast, deliberate tag, open mouth, hook forward, inject. Coral snakes must hold on for a second or two to deliver meaningful venom volume, but their prey rarely escapes even that initial contact. Neurotoxin acts on a schedule measured in minutes. For prey, the sequence begins with subtlety. First, muscle tremors. Then a disturbing slackness around the jaw. Then the collapse of fine motor control. Worm lizards, amphibians, and small snakes die quickly because their respiratory systems are simple and easily disrupted. But the documentary pivots now toward larger animals, creatures with more complex nervous systems, and explains how coral snake venom operates differently from hemotoxic vipers. Neurotoxins work at the junction between nerves and muscles, specifically the neuromuscular junction. They block acetylcholine receptors, preventing the nerve's electrical command from reaching the muscle. When this transmission fails, the muscle becomes unresponsive. Coral snake venom targets the entire system, but the diaphragm, the muscle responsible for breathing, is the critical casualty. Respiratory paralysis is the kill mechanism, not bleeding, not swelling, not tissue damage. Victims die because their lungs simply stop receiving the message to expand. The documentary slows the pace, walking through what a serious bite looks like in a mammal. Pain at the bite site is surprisingly mild, often described as a small pinch or bee sting sensation. This lack of immediate pain misleads victims into underestimating the danger. Within 30 to 90 minutes, symptoms escalate: drooping eyelids, difficulty focusing, weakness creeping through the limbs. Speech becomes slurred because the tongue and facial muscles begin to fail. Swallowing grows difficult. Soon, the chest starts to feel tight, not because of swelling, but because the diaphragm's responsiveness is slipping away. Victims often remain fully conscious as this happens, terrifyingly aware that their breathing is becoming shallow and irregular. Few predators test these limits. Birds of prey that snatch coral snakes quickly drop them after one taste. Small carnivores may attack banded mimics once, but rarely twice. The venom is simply too effective. Even animals that survive initial exposure often succumb to respiratory complications. Evolution has shaped these warning colors with brutal honesty. Red, yellow, and black are accurate advertising. The camera cuts to a mimic species for contrast, a false coral snake slithering through similar terrain. The resemblance is uncanny at first glance. But the mimic's colors are slightly duller, the banding ratios subtly off. Predators who rely on quick pattern recognition treat these mimics with the same caution they treat the real coral snake. Natural selection makes no distinction between honest signals and forged ones as long as the illusion holds. But for humans wandering forest trails, such confusion is dangerous. Many assume small size equals harmless. Many assume bright colors equal bluff. They are wrong in both cases. The film now moves deeper into the forest, where humidity builds in still pockets and leaf litter lies thick enough to swallow small movements. Here, coral snakes thrive. Their small cylindrical bodies allow them to navigate microhabitats that larger snakes cannot exploit. During the wet season, they follow amphibian migrations, taking advantage of young frogs and small burrowing reptiles. During the dry season, they retreat deeper into soil layers where prey density remains high. Their thermoregulation strategy differs from larger snakes. They don't bask openly. They use the forest floor as a thermal buffer, maintaining stable body temperatures in the narrow, shaded microclimates beneath debris. The documentary overlaps this ecological insight with a clinical timeline for humans who experience envenomation. After eye droop and limb weakness begins, paralysis spreads. The victim may feel as if they're inhaling normally, but the breaths become shallow, tiny inhales that barely oxygenate the blood. Anxiety rises because the experience is paradoxical. You are awake, thinking clearly, and yet your chest stops responding. Without antivenom or mechanical ventilation, the end comes quietly. No thrashing, no dramatic collapse. Just a gradual slipping into hypoxia until consciousness fades. To reinforce the science, the film cuts to slow-motion footage of a coral snake feeding. Unlike vipers, it doesn't rely on massive venom output or penetrating fangs. It uses small, fixed fangs positioned at the front of the mouth, perfect for precision. It doesn't need swelling, bruising, or necrosis to finish the kill. It needs only silence at the neuromuscular junction. The prey goes still because the body stops listening to the brain. The documentary then widens again, showing broader ecological consequences. Coral snakes help regulate populations of fossorial reptiles, preventing outbreaks that could destabilize insect communities. Their presence influences where lizards burrow, how frogs disperse, even where larger predators hunt. Their mimic species benefit from being mistaken for them, creating small pockets of safety in an otherwise predation-heavy environment. Coral snakes, despite their small size, exert a disproportionate influence on the rainforest's balance. As the chapter nears its end, the camera returns to that original banded snake weaving through leaf litter. The sunlight has shifted. The forest glows orange now, late afternoon pressing warm beams through the canopy. The coral snake pauses briefly, flicking its tongue, reading chemical messages in the air. It is a predator of subtle mechanisms, a creature that kills with information hijacking rather than brute force. The final narration focuses on the core truth. Coral snakes do not kill with bleeding, swelling, or dramatic wounds. They kill by turning off communication inside the body. They kill by shutting down breath, not by crushing it, but by making the muscles forget how to move. Their colors declare this honestly. Their reputation is earned. In the rainforest, danger does not always roar or strike with thunder. Sometimes it whispers, quietly disconnecting breath from life. The flooded channel looks peaceful from above, broad, tea-colored water sliding between half-drowned trees, leaves trembling on their branches as if the whole forest is breathing in slow rhythm. Dragonflies skim the surface. A heron stands motionless at the margin, one leg lifted, eyes tracking nothing in particular. It is the kind of scene that lulls outsiders into thinking the Amazon is calm, even generous. But just beneath that smooth surface, something cuts through the channel like a row of sharpened blades. A torpedo-shaped shadow bursts upward, then another beside it, then a third. Sleek brown heads break the surface, whiskers dripping, eyes bright and scanning. These are giant otters, Pteronura brasiliensis, the largest otters on Earth. At a distance they look playful, almost cartoonishly expressive, with rounded foreheads and soft features that seem engineered for viral videos. Up close, the illusion disintegrates. Their muscles ripple beneath dense fur. Their jaws, when opened, reveal teeth engineered for crushing bone and cleaving flesh. Their group communication is rapid, layered, and persistent. A barrage of chirps, growls, barks, and whistles that binds the group into a single coordinated force. The camera follows them as they spread into formation. Two individuals scout ahead, weaving between submerged trunks. Three others flank the main channel, diving and resurfacing in synchronized pulses. Their speed underwater is startling. They move not with the hesitant flickers of smaller river mammals, but with the confidence of apex predators who know they can outmaneuver anything else in this corridor. They can stay submerged for long stretches, up to 2 minutes during extended hunts, using their long, flattened tails as rudders and propellers. When the pack is moving at full speed, chasing scent trails or responding to the alarm call of one of their own, they become a coordinated hydrodynamic assault team. A disturbance ahead signals their target. The first scout hears it, a splash, a vibration pattern inconsistent with fish. That sound signature belongs to a reptile, maybe a young caiman, maybe something larger. In otter logic, both are acceptable challenges. The camera cuts underwater. Light filters down in dusty beams. Through suspended silt, the silhouette of a small caiman emerges, 1 meter long, wary, positioned near a submerged log. It is not hunting. It is simply resting, half hidden, waiting for the heat of the day to stabilize its blood. But giant otters do not grant neutrality. They exploit every weakness in the river: hesitation, stillness, or in this case, a juvenile predator too small to intimidate and too slow to escape. The first otter strikes from behind, biting down hard on the caiman's tail. Not to kill yet, but to force movement, force panic. Caimans are poor swimmers compared to otters. Their strength lies in their initial strike on land or the first lunge of an ambush. Once forced into a prolonged chase in open water, they lose the advantage. That is exactly what the otters want. A second and third otter flank the caiman's head, snapping at its eyes and nostrils, forcing it to close its jaws defensively. Every bite is precise. Not random violence, but targeted disruption. The goal is to keep the caiman from orienting itself, from raising its head above the surface. The otter's strategy is simple and merciless. If the reptile cannot breathe, it cannot fight. The caiman thrashes, tail whipping, sending curtains of bubbles upward. But the pack responds instantly, tightening formation. One otter grabs the caiman's snout and shoves it downward. Another clamps onto the neck, pulling sideways. A third bites along the flank, raking with claws that are small but sharp enough to break through softer parts of the hide. Together, they twist the caiman's body just enough to keep it inverted. Inversion is fatal for reptiles. Air becomes unreachable. For a moment, the camera settles at the riverbed. The fight becomes a silhouette of violence above, rapid shapes crossing, streaking, circling. The otters move with impossible agility, resurfacing only when necessary, then dropping back into the fray with renewed force. Their lungs are efficient, their limbs tuned for underwater propulsion. They are simply built better for this arena than the reptile they're dismantling. Eventually, the caiman's struggle weakens. Oxygen deprivation begins to limit its reflexes. Its tail movements become slower, less coordinated. Its attempts to right itself fail. The otters seize the moment. 3 of them latch onto the head and upper body, while a 4th bites deep into the shoulder joint, tearing through muscle. The water clouds red. The heron at the bank takes off, startled by the muffled chaos. Above the surface, the otters' heads pop up, chattering to each other, not in play, but in communication. Updates, signals, commands. They coordinate their breaths so that at least one individual always has its mouth on the caiman. This is not random mobbing. It is combat teamwork honed over generations. The documentary pivots now to ecological context. Giant otters live in family groups, monogamous breeding pairs, and up to 6 or more offspring from previous years. Their social structure is one of the most complex among Amazonian mammals. Cooperative hunting is not an accessory behavior, it is a survival framework. Packs defend territories fiercely, sometimes engaging black caimans many times their size, mobbing them with enough aggression to force retreat. Jaguars have been driven from kills. Anacondas have been harassed until they abandoned prime hunting spots. Few predators in the region command such respect in groups. Their pack communication is as advanced as their hunting. Researchers have identified more than a dozen distinct vocalizations: alarm calls, contact calls, mating calls, distress signals, juvenile begging chirps. The speed at which these sounds move through the group allows the otters to respond to threats or prey with split-second coordination. In water, where visibility is often limited, sound becomes the backbone of strategy. Returning underwater, the caiman's body now hangs limp, suspended between roots. The otters, still chattering, begin feeding. They tear strips of meat with quick, jerking motions. Their jaws are strong enough to crush the skulls of large fish. A caiman's softer tissues pose no challenge. Blood diffuses into the channel, but piranhas keep their distance. Even they recognize that hunting rights belong to the otters until they leave. The documentary then broadens again, connecting this predatory behavior to human encounters. Giant otters rarely attack people. Their first response to humans is usually curiosity or avoidance. But their power is not hypothetical. A coordinated pack of 6 or more adults could drag a human underwater easily. Their bites are deep enough to expose muscle. Their claws, though small, rake skin in long, parallel cuts. But the real danger, just as with their reptile prey, is drowning. A human in deep or fast water, surrounded by otters acting defensively or protecting pups, would lose orientation almost immediately. Several otters grabbing arms, legs, or clothing at once could pull a person sideways or downward, forcing water into the mouth and nose. Even without major lacerations, the body's instinct to inhale after a long submersion would be the real killer. Otters don't need venom or crushing force. They need only remove your access to air while occupying your limbs. The river handles the rest. But attacks remain rare because humans are not food, and otters rarely waste energy on unnecessary conflict. Their aggression is strategic, not random. They reserve violence for threats to their territory or prey that can sustain the family. As the chapter approaches its conclusion, the camera follows the pack as they leave the carcass behind. They rise as one to the surface and swim upriver, weaving through flooded vegetation with military precision. Their bodies slice through the water in fluid arcs, leaving V-shaped wakes. The sun catches the white throat patches that mark each individual's identity. unique patterns used by researchers to track family lines. For a moment, one juvenile lingers behind, examining the stripped caiman bones with youthful curiosity. Then, a sharp bark from its mother summons it. The youngster dives and joins the formation without hesitation. The scene closes on a wide shot of the flooded channel. The forest is quiet again, the water still, but the innocence has burned away. The viewer now understands what moves beneath that calm surface. Coordinated, hyper-efficient predators wearing the faces of playful mammals. In the Amazon, danger is often silent, scaled, or fanged. But sometimes it has whiskers, family bonds, and the discipline of a drowning squad. Evening settles across the river like a heavy cloak, turning the water from bronze to black glass. In this fading light, the forest's sounds shift. Diurnal birds quiet, insects rise to full chorus, and the undergrowth begins to whisper with new, deliberate movements. Along the riverbank, where shadows deepen into long corridors between buttress roots, the Amazon's apex land predator begins its final patrol of the day. A jaguar, massive head, shoulders rounded with muscle, rosette-patterned coat glowing faintly in the last amber glow, steps out of the foliage with a precision that makes the world seem suddenly engineered around its presence. The jaguar pauses. Its whiskers twitch. Its nose lifts slightly into the humid air. Every molecule of the riverbank's scent, fish oils, decaying fruit, amphibian mucus, the musk of capybara, is catalogued instantly. This predator does not stalk impulsively, it stalks with calculations. Unlike lions on open savannas or leopards melting into rock shelves, jaguars operate in close quarters. Every hunt is a geometry of silence. The cat lowers itself and begins moving parallel to the waterline, each paw placed with the steadiness of a creature that has learned through evolution that one snapped twig is the difference between a full belly and another hungry night. Its tail moves in slow arcs, balancing its weight as it navigates roots and vines without disturbing them. The forest watches, but nothing announces its presence. Even the capybaras grazing 50 meters away remain unaware. Then, as if slipping between worlds, the jaguar enters the river. No splash, no ripple loud enough for prey to register. Jaguars are the strongest swimmers of all big cats, their short, stocky builds giving them a buoyancy and control other felines lack. They enter water like underwater predators, not terrestrial ones, body low, chin raised, legs pushing with quiet, purposeful strokes. In the Amazon, a jaguar's hunt does not stop at the waterline. It expands. Tonight, the cat has locked onto a solitary capybara, drinking at a shallow inlet. The setting is perfect. Deep mud, steep bank, nowhere to run but backward through thorns. The jaguar glides until only its eyes and nose break the surface. An echo of the caimans it shares this habitat with. Parallels exist between these apex predators, but where the caiman relies on sudden force and water leverage, the jaguar relies on precision anatomy. The camera moves underwater, and the jaguar becomes a silhouette, powerful limbs cutting slow arcs beneath the surface. Air bubbles trail from its submerged fur. Above water, the capybara shifts slightly, sensing something it cannot articulate. An atmospheric tension, a hush in the air. But its ears do not twitch fast enough. The jaguar erupts from the water. Its launch is not a chaotic lunge, but an engineered strike, every limb contributing to a leap that closes distance instantly. Mud detonates upward. The capybara manages a single squeal before the jaguar's jaws clamp around its head. This is where jaguars diverge from every other big cat on Earth. Most large felids kill by suffocation. Canines clamped over the windpipe, weight pinning the prey, patience doing the rest. Jaguars can do that too. But they have another option, one almost never seen among mammals with similar diets: the cranial kill. Their bite force, pound for pound, is the strongest of any big cat, powerful enough to pierce turtle shells and armored reptiles. When they strike the skull, the attack is precise, targeting the temporal region where bone is weakest and the brain sits closest to the surface. Their canines slip between the bones, entering the brain case, causing immediate collapse. Tonight, this jaguar opts not for the skull pierce, but for another equally lethal option: the throat crush. The jaws slide from the top of the capybara's head to its neck, clamping over the trachea and major blood vessels. The biomechanics unfold in slow, terrible clarity. The jaguar tightens its grip. The hyoid apparatus and upper vertebrae shift under pressure. The trachea collapses. Blood flow to the brain diminishes sharply. Without air or oxygen, the capybara's frantic thrashing weakens within seconds. But the jaguar is not done. It begins to drag. Most predators avoid dragging struggling prey into water. They risk drowning themselves. Jaguars do the opposite. They weaponize the river. Using their immense forelimbs, they heave the capybara sideways, pulling it downhill through the mud. The river receives the body with a muted splash as the jaguar plunges forward, pinning the prey beneath its chest while adjusting its bite to maintain pressure across the throat. Underwater, the capybara's situation becomes hopeless. Oxygen deprivation doubles. The crushed airway prevents inhalation while water pressure forces muddy water into its nose. The scene shifts beneath the surface. The jaguar's rosette coat ripples like distorted shadow patterns, its teeth locked with terrifying calm around the prey's neck. The capybara kicks, sending air bubbles upward, but each bubble is a countdown. As long as the jaguar holds position, teeth locked, forearms pressing, jaws tightening with each weak exhale, the outcome is certain. Above water, the forest resumes its evening chorus, as if the hunt is an incidental ripple of the larger ecosystem. Jaguars do not kill with theatrics. They kill with inevitability. The narration moves from this single kill into the evolutionary underpinnings of jaguar anatomy. Their skull is uniquely reinforced. Its shape resembles a wedge more than the elongated form typical of other big cats. This structure allows muscles to attach in positions that generate immense downward force. When the jaguar bites, it doesn't simply close its jaws. It compresses, drives, pushes, and stabilizes. The entire head becomes a hydraulic press made of bone and sinew. Their canines are shorter and thicker than those of lions or tigers, adapted less for slicing and more for punching through armored targets. Turtles, armadillos, caimans, and boars all fall prey to this technique. Jaguars are not just apex predators. They are specialists capable of dismantling animals thought too well defended for most carnivores. The documentary shifts now to another hunt, a peccary herd moving through brush. Jaguars excel at multi-environment predation: forest floor, riverbank, canopy edges. In this case, the jaguar stalks from downwind, using each peccary's aggressive rooting behavior as auditory cover. When the attack comes, the jaguar lands on the peccary's back, twisting sideways to pull the animal off balance. But instead of targeting the skull immediately, it clamps the neck and holds. The peccary fights violently, slashing with tusks, twisting with surprising strength. But the jaguar maintains its grip, tightening each time the peccary exhales. It becomes a slow suffocation, not as dramatic as the skull bite, but equally final. The film then widens to explore jaguar-water interactions. Jaguars do not merely swim, they integrate water into strategy. They cross rivers effortlessly, stalk along submerged logs, and drag kills into water to drown prey or conceal carcasses from scavengers. They are known to ambush caimans, leaping onto them from overhanging branches and biting directly into the skull. In such cases, the jaguar's bite must penetrate thick bone shielded by muscle, a feat no other big cat routinely performs. The documentary includes rare footage: a jaguar swimming underwater, paws paddling with slow, powerful strokes. Its whiskers detect micro-changes in current. Fish scatter. The jaguar's nostrils stay sealed until it rises to breathe again. This skill is not ornamental. It defines jaguars as dual environment hunters. To tie humans into this narrative, carefully, realistically, the film notes that jaguar attacks on humans are exceedingly rare. Most jaguars retreat long before a person knows one is near. But in the hypothetical worst-case encounter, the danger mirrors what their prey experiences. Jaguars do not maul for long durations. They go directly for the skull or the throat. Their goal is not tearing, but disabling. If a jaguar were to treat a human like prey, unconsciousness would come quickly, not through bleeding, but through the abrupt shutdown of breath and blood flow to the brain. As night settles fully over the Amazon, the jaguar finishes its kill. The capybara lies half submerged, chest still, fur drifting with the current. The jaguar lifts its head, water streaming from its whiskers, and surveys the riverbank. Its sides rise and fall with controlled breaths. It is not winded, it is simply done. The camera pulls back slowly, revealing the jaguar as a spotted shadow blending into the night, its kill forgotten by everything except the river current. This chapter closes with the intimate truth that unites all jaguar kills, from tapirs to turtles to forest pigs. In the Amazon, the last sensation many animals know is pressure. Pressure on the skull, pressure on the throat, and the crushing weight of a jaguar closing the gap between breath and silence.